Hi, I'm Lara Sky, and today we're doing G for Giantess. Did you think I had stopped doing my A to Z of kink? Because no, we are gonna finish it. People have been asking me where I am, and I have just been busy with Locktober content and moving house. So everything should be settled now. We will get back to it. If you're new here, I am a professional dominator of men, schmetisch connoisseur. Don't want to get demonetized in the first part of the video, and I've been doing this series where I choose something, whether I know about it or not, give my thoughts on it. It's not really educational, just a talking point, and don't really edit them to make it a bit easier for me to pump them out. And yeah, so here we are. G for Giantess. So, why do people like giants or giantesses? Well, okay, so the whole giantess thing, I feel like it's pretty easy to understand why people like it. Let me put my camera down actually, because I am not doing a full video holding this. Okay, so fix the height of the camera so I don't have to hold it the entire time, because that would just break my arms. I'm not very strong, okay? For somebody who plays a big giantess a lot of the time. Not as strong, but it's okay because you'll just be a tiny little speck of dirt. Anyway, when it comes to like the whole giantess, shrinky, height difference, I'm just going to put them all into one. I know there's slightly different fetishes and they have different audiences and everything, but I think for the purposes of this video and it just being a very like brief overview, maybe to get people thinking, we'll just go for anything in which the man is small and the woman is big. And you can have it the other way. It doesn't have to be fixed with that, but I'm talking about giantesses because I am often a giantess. It's a very popular request from me. So I'm quite tall anyway. I'm 5'10", so people really love to be like, oh my god, if you wore like 8-inch heels, you'd be so tall that you couldn't walk through a door. So you get kind of like the giant woman thing, which is like very strong, powerful, big. It also kind of blends into this whole like wrestling, bodybuilding, like strong, powerful, tall, emasculating the man sort of thing, making them feel powerless and tiny and small and, you know, all that good stuff. So you get the kind of like giantess or powerful strong woman thing where it'll be, you know, a height difference that could happen. So the guys, say you're like 5'6" as a guy, which is on the shorter side, not the shortest you could be, but it is on the shorter side for a man, and then you're like, oh my god, that woman's like 6'4", and you know, there's like a big height difference, you're looking up at her, and that is something that can happen. You see it a lot on like Instagram and TikTok and like all these accounts which are pretending to be vanilla but they're actually fetish accounts. You know, does anyone watch that series that, was it Lydia Love did it? I think she definitely did some videos on TikTok. She's like, is this a fetish? And she's like, yep. There was like a whole load of creators that I just remember her doing a couple really popular ones. Anyway, so it'll be like, a really tall woman can't walk through a door. Really tall woman picks up a small man. Really tall woman runs on a treadmill next to a small man. You know, and they're trying to sell it as like, yeah, we're just like living our lives. We're just tall and short. And it's actually like the things that they're doing. They'll be like, oh, I have to bend down so much to get through this door. Oh my goodness, I'm going to hit my head. Oh, my feet are so big they can't fit in these shoes. So, you know, it's like emphasizing like the size difference, you know, like how big they are, how strong they are, how small everything is in the house. So there's that, and that falls into like more of what I would call like a realistic giantess, sort of small, large, where you're looking at someone who's taller, maybe stronger, more powerful. The one that you've probably seen is the one, either shrinky. Shrinky is very popular. So shrinking is when the shrunk person starts off at normal height and becomes smaller, shrunk down. It could be via a potion, a magic spell. You have to be a little bit careful on clip sites because MasterCard and Visa hate us. They hate anything fun. You're not allowed to be like, I'm going to hypnotize you. Nope, that's not allowed. They're not allowed to have potions because you're putting a spell on them. And there's just a whole load of rules around that. I'm not going into that too deeply. Read the terms and conditions on the sites and you will see. The list of banned words are insane. So anyway, so however they're going to become shrunk. Is it maybe you trick them? Is it something they enjoy doing? And then you've also got the side where like the woman grows via like a spell or magic or whatever. So you've got like the growing and the shrinking. And then you've also got, you know, like an actual giant. So maybe like towering over skyscrapers, you know, like you're looking up at them and oh my god, there's a giant like about to crush me, whatever. So then also when you've got giants, honestly, I feel like this is like me trying to explain to my vanilla friends about the Giantess stuff. I'm like, there's this and there's this and there's this, but sometimes there's this, and so just go with it, just roll with it, just give me the monetization, YouTube, and I will take the 1 cent per view. People just keep watching, okay? Just it's been a long day. It's been a stressful move. Anyway, so when you've got your giantess or your giant who is your like, that was how they were born. They were born as like 100 feet high, whatever, right? So are they nice? Are they mean? Are they oblivious? You know, like, is there anything else happening? Like, were they always existing? You know, like, is there like areas for humans and areas for giants? Like, I don't know. It depends. Sometimes there are and sometimes there aren't. Like, sometimes giants just appear. Sometimes they're always there. Sometimes there's like a really mean one who wants to like actually like crush people, or like they get mad and they want to like eat people. I'm going to vore a little bit, but not too deep. But yeah, like what part? Do you know, like, are you just like a tiny little ant and they accidentally stand on you? Or are you like in their cereal and you know, like, you're like, oh my god, don't eat me, and they don't hear you because they're so big and you're so tiny. You know, like, I've got these. Have I just? Oh no, I did put it back in here. I've got these little like train track figures that I've been using recently. Like, a lot of people use these for our videos. This is like a size comparison. So, you know, you could easily just eat one of them if they were in your cereal. Maybe they'd be even smaller, you know, if I was a really big giant and you were really, really tiny little shrinky. People are going to be like, deep into the giant lore. Not explaining it very well, but anyway. So, you've got to decide. Well, you don't have to decide right now. So if you're like, oh, maybe I'm interested in that. So there's like this massive person. Are you like trapped? I'm gonna do you all a favour and just summarise what I was saying, because there was a car revving in the background and it is unlistenable even for me. So I was saying that a lot of people find their interest in kind of shrinking or the kind of height difference, giantess, all that sort of thing, either through film or books that they've read as a child. It does quite often start very young and then kind of develop into something as they become older. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, The Borrowers are two quite popular films. Obviously there's a lot of different fantasy books, and yeah, each to their own. You know, you've got to start somewhere, and sometimes you don't know what you want until you see it. So like, oh my god, giantess, shrinkies. But yeah, so I think the main thing behind it is like a feeling of like fear, emasculation, powerlessness. Yeah, it's just completely and utterly given up. So some people, you know, they want to be outwardly show the small feeling that they're feeling inside, so they feel embarrassed, small, tiny. They feel like they're not a big person, so therefore they channel that other people just like the idea of, you know, like mythical creatures and, you know, like a bit different. Or it could be taken into kind of like a body worship sphere where, you know, you're really, really into feet. So if you're like, actually, here's an example of one which is very common. So people love to be so small that they can fit between your toes. Yes, I did say that. Yes, I did. So they can, I was going to show my feet, but I'm not for free. But yeah, so they want to like fit in between your toes, and they want to be able to live there. Yeah, I love it, honestly. But there's so many people just want to be like little toe slaves and like go under your toenails and like brush under your toenails, but they have to be small. And then some of them want to live in your shoes. So you like, there's this whole thing that you could be taking it like body worship, feet. It could be like other body parts that I think you can imagine, but they're so big that they take up the whole room. So instead of just being able to see them and they're small, you're like, oh my god, so big. I did also say I was going to go into vore a little bit. So vore is basically the act of eating someone or something. So probably don't search it. It does get very, very dark. So there's like a very, I don't really want to call it vanilla, but there's like a vanilla way you can do vore, which is like, oh, I'm going to eat you, like grab the camera. And then you're like in the tummy. You could like say to somebody, oh, I really want to like, well, you can't say this on clips, but like some people has fantasy of like, I want to be like on a dinner plate and the giant's eating me, or like, you know, sort of that thing where like vore can go into like eating live animals and cannibalism and all sorts of nasty stuff, and it can go into like some very, very dark areas, which, yeah, I do not recommend that you go deep into that. It's banned on sites for a reason, because people can't behave. And you know what? If people learned how to behave just a little bit, we would all have a lot more fun. So please, can we stop posting things on social media that is gonna get everything banned? And can we stop killing animals? And can we stop being fucking nutcases, okay? Not to kink shame, but at a certain point, just stop it, okay? Just no, okay? Just no, we're not doing it. Anyway, so the whole vore thing, yeah, so I would count sort of the idea of being eaten by a giant, being in the cereal, being eaten, maybe having like your arm, your leg chewed off, or, you know, I would count that into vore. And there's also like the fear, God, there's so many places you could go with this giant thing. There's like an oral fixation, I think that's the right phrase for it, where people are like really obsessed with like the mouth and like close-ups, so that can come into the giant thing where you're like a tiny little person and you're near the mouth. And honestly, there's so many parts. So like the most common one for me though is shrinky, where I stay the same size that I am, and then the other person is small, so either they can control the size of their body, or they're just a small person, or I shrink them down. But yeah, it's all very fun. if you go on a deep dive into Giantess stuff, there's loads. But yeah, I don't really have much more to say. I kind of like I shouldn't have spoke about vore, because now I'm like, ugh. But yeah, I think there's like softcore vore, which is like, oh, I'm gonna eat you, and then there's like actual, you know, like people doing it and just like, oh my god. I have one for medical fetish, by the way. For medical fetish, when we get there, people who watch my streams know what stories I'm going to tell, because I was shocked. I might even do a proper edited video, you know what, I might even get the stories up and do a proper like deep dive into insanity, or maybe I'll do like another one of people that went too far in kink. I feel like that's just so many people, because normally, guys, we're not even talking about giants anymore, but like normally one of the reasons that kink gets a bad name is because people like to sort of disguise their abuse as being dominant. So if someone's abusive to you, tell them to get lost and never speak to you again, please, because they're not dominant, they are just abusive, right? So no excuses for abuse. Consent at all times. And also, even people who are like, oh, I had consent for this, but they're doing something which is wildly, wildly dangerous. Like, you can only consent up to a certain point, okay? Risk aware, but also, like, if it's likely to kill you, I'm not going to say that you can't consent to someone killing you, because that's a whole different discussion. But, you know, the other person should be like, maybe not. And you should be like, maybe not. However, let's go back to giants. Giants are fun. I love giants. I love shrinkies. Yeah, this is the state of my mind. What are these videos normally like? Anyway, I am Lara Sky. This has been a ramble. You're watching me lose my mind in live bloody time. I have a cold. I've moved house. There's like, if you could see the boxes behind the camera, this is also why I'm not filming on my proper camera, because I couldn't find it. Well, I know where my camera is, I don't know where the charger is. This is the part of the video where I had originally promoted Locktober. We are now in Locktober because my cold really took it out of me. I've only just got around to editing this because I don't like editing, to be honest, and I had other things to edit first before this that took priority that people had paid for, so, you know. Anyway, if anyone is still interested in Locktober, I do have content on Etsy, on fan sites, on clip stores, and there's a chastity journal. You kind of write down every day. It gives you like a little motivational little task, helps you reflect, helps you stay accountable. There are 3-day challenges, and then we're going to be doing either a 7 or a 10-day end of the month thing. I've not 100% decided. It might even end up being 5 days of unhingedness. I don't know. I've not planned it, so I can't tell you what's going to happen, but I do feel like I want to torment some people. So if you're interested in Locktober, make sure you follow me on maybe more free, well, not free as in monetary wise, freely postable channels. I'm making up words at this point, but yeah, you know where to go. And with that, I hope you have enjoyed my awful dive into giants, mixing about 4 different fetishes together. But yeah, I will be back at some point with more chastity content for sure, and maybe more videos.